I had been in a relationship with Julian King for 3 years, yet he still refused to propose. Then, without warning, he fell for my stepsister at first sight and began chasing after her openly, without any care for how I felt. But this time, I did not cry, I did not sit in silence, hoping he would grow tired and come back to me like before. Instead, I gathered all the gifts he had given me and threw them away. I took the wedding dress I had secretly bought and tore it into pieces. On his birthday, I left the King family estate without saying goodbye. Just before I boarded the plane, Julian sent me a message on WeChat. "Why are you not here yet? Everyone is waiting for you." I stared at the screen, smiled faintly, and blocked him on every platform. He had no idea that 2 weeks earlier, I had already accepted a proposal from Andrew Gu, my college senior. As soon as the plane landed in my new city, Andrew and I would be getting married, standing in front of the mirror. I looked at my pale, tired reflection. "Andrew, I have made up my mind," I said softly, feeling a quiet certainty settle in my chest. It turned out, making such a big decision was not as hard as I had imagined. "Susie, will you marry me?" Andrew's deep voice came through the phone, steady and full of emotion. My heart tightened, tears welled in my eyes as I nodded gently. "Yes, do you know," he said, "I have been waiting for this moment since we were in college." I looked at my reflection again and realized I was smiling without even knowing it. "Wait for me just 2 more weeks," he said. "I need to finish everything on my end." "Okay, Andrew, I will wait," I whispered. Right after we ended the call, the door to my room creaked open. My father stood there awkwardly. "Susie," he said, clearing his throat, "your sister is not feeling well. Your room gets better sunlight. Why don't you let her use it for a few days?" I did not reply right away. Behind him stood my stepmother and Lily, my stepsister. My stepmother quickly added, "Oh, there is no need to trouble Susie, old Chen." Lily spoke softly, pretending to be considerate. "Yes, Dad, I am fine. Please do not upset Susie because of me." "What do you mean trouble?" my father snapped. "You are my daughter too." Then he looked at me, his tone firm. "Susie, you are the older sister. Be more understanding." I looked at him and felt nothing. I thought I would be heartbroken. I thought I would cry, realizing my biological father loved a girl who shared no blood with him more than he loved me, but not a single tear fell. Instead, I nodded and smiled. "Sure, I will switch." There were only 2 weeks left until I would leave this place forever. It no longer mattered which room I stayed in. My father looked pleased with how understanding I was, and my stepmother gave me a satisfied smile. After they left, Lily stayed behind. "Susie, let me help you pack," she offered sweetly, standing near me like an obedient little sister. But as she looked around the room, I noticed the glint of pride in her eyes. "I did not expect Dad would really make us switch rooms," she said with a chuckle. "Susie, are you mad at me? I mean, after all, I took Julian from you. And now I've taken your room too." I said nothing and turned to get my suitcase. Suddenly, Lily cried out loudly and fell to the floor. Her arm had hit the corner of the desk, and a dark bruise had already begun to form. "Susie Chen, what are you doing?" a voice yelled. I looked up, startled. Julian had just come upstairs and had seen Lily fall. His face darkened as he rushed to her side and gently lifted her into his arms. "Julian, I am okay," Lily said with teary eyes and a forced smile. "It is not Susie's fault. Really, it does not hurt." "How can it not hurt?" Julian said, staring at the bruise on her pale arm with deep concern. Then he looked at me. His eyes turned cold, like a winter wind slicing through the air. "If you have a problem, take it out on me," he said sharply. "Do not hurt Lily. She is already suffering enough. Not like you, born into a rich family, spoiled since birth, never knowing what hardship feels like." I had thought nothing he said could hurt me anymore. I had truly believed I would never cry over Julian King again. But in that moment, I was still just an ordinary girl. I did not have a heart made of stone. The boy I grew up with, the man I had loved for 3 years, had fallen for someone else in just a few days. And now, he looked at me as if I were some cruel, heartless villain. I wanted to stay strong, I wanted to laugh, but the tears were already rising. "Julian King," I said quietly, "we have known each other for so many years. Do you really not know what kind of person I am?" His brows furrowed, his gaze softened just a little as he looked at my face, as if something inside him hesitated. But before anything could change, Lily began to cry again. "Julian, please don't argue with Susie because of me. It is okay, she has every right to be angry with me," she said gently, her voice full of hurt. Julian's eyes turned cold once more. "You are just jealous," he said. "Jealous that I love Lily, that I care for her. That everyone does. You are not the girl you used to be. Susie, you have changed, you have become bitter." And with that, he turned and walked away, carrying Lily in his arms. I stood there watching their backs fade into the distance. That was when I realized. My tears had already dried, and I had not even noticed. Maybe that was a blessing. I had cried far too much over Julian these past few days. Maybe now, finally, I would stop letting him break my heart. That night, the group chat with our mutual friends suddenly lit up with activity. Julian had posted a message, "Suddenly feel like getting married. What should I do?" The replies poured in right away. "Julian, are you finally marrying Susie? Time to call her sister-in-law. Congrats, sis-in-law. When's the wedding? We want a big red envelope. Julian, when are we getting the invitation?" One message after another filled the screen. I was just about to reply, to explain that I was not the so-called sister-in-law and that Julian's sudden talk of marriage had nothing to do with me. But before I could say anything, he posted again. "What nonsense are you all talking about? I never said I wanted to marry Susie Chen." Then, without warning, he added someone new to the group, Lily King, and tagged everyone. "Take a good look. This is your real sister-in-law." The group chat fell completely silent. No one said a word. The lively room now felt cold and awkward. After a while, Julian spoke again. "What's wrong? Say hello to your new sister-in-law." Slowly, people began to reply, one by one, sending hesitant greetings to Lily. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then typed, "Congratulations. Wishing you both a long and happy life together." After sending that message, I quietly left the group chat. Not even a full minute passed before Julian called me. "Susie Chen. Come here right now. You know the place, our old spot." "Why?" I asked, to apologize to Lily. "Why should I? You suddenly left the group. Do you know how that made her look in front of our friends?" His voice was cold and firm. "I do not want anyone talking badly about Lily. I am the one who likes her. I want to give her a proper place in my life. She is innocent. She should not be seen as a homewrecker because of your actions." I had thought I was finally free of his control, that I no longer cared what he said or did, but hearing those words, I felt anger rise so fast it made my chest ache. My fingers trembled as I gripped the phone. My voice shook as I answered. "Julian King, how can you treat me like this? What gives you the right to talk to me this way? You were the one who cheated. I did nothing wrong. I even congratulated you. Was that not enough?" I tried to hold back my tears, but my voice still cracked with a sob. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, he said, "Susie Chen, I will let it go this time. But remember, Lily is innocent. Do not take your anger out on her. Do not hurt her." Then he hung up. I sat on the floor, trembling from head to toe. On the nightstand by the bed was a photo of my mother. Her gentle eyes seemed to look at me with love and understanding. Suddenly, I could not stop crying. The tears came fast, pouring down like heavy rain. I reached for the photo frame, hugged it to my chest, and pressed my face against the cold glass. I sobbed uncontrollably. It felt as if the mother in the picture was crying with me, grieving for her daughter's pain. I told myself I did not want to cry anymore. I did not want my mother, wherever she was, to see me so heartbroken. Once her Memorial Day passed, I would leave this place. I would take only the few keepsakes she had left me and never return. Lily moved into my old room. I did not take hers. Instead, I found a random guest room and stayed there. The blanket the housekeeper left for me was damp and cold, but I pulled it over myself and forced my eyes shut. Just a few more days, I told myself. I only needed to hang on a little longer, and then it would all be over. But the next morning, as soon as I went downstairs, I saw something that made me freeze. In the side hall, where my mother's photo and offerings had been placed, everything was destroyed. Her picture had been thrown to the floor. The frame was shattered. The photograph itself was stained with dirty footprints. Her smiling face now looked as though it were crying in pain. The offerings were scattered everywhere. Lily's dog was chewing on one of the fruits. Lily stood nearby, clapping her hands and laughing. I felt every drop of blood in my body rush to my head. In that moment, every bit of patience and self-control vanished. Like someone possessed, I grabbed a vase and hurled it at the dog. The dog yelped and ran away. Lily screamed. A shard from the broken vase had cut her arm. Her voice was sharp and shrill. "Susie, what are you doing? How can you raise your hand against your own sister?" At that moment, my father's voice echoed from behind her. "Susie, you have gone too far," Lily cried out and threw herself into his arms. "Dad, help me." Susie tried to hurt me. I turned to him, my whole body shaking, tears streaming down. "Can you not see what she did?" I cried. "She threw away Mom's offerings. She destroyed her photo." But my voice was drowned out by his silence, and I stood there, trembling, broken all over again. I was heartbroken and furious for my mother, but my father only glanced at the mess on the floor. He frowned slightly and said, "Even so, Susie, you should not have gotten physical. You hurt someone." "Dad," I cried, "Mom has been gone for so long. What matters more to you, a person who is gone or the one who is still here?" His voice was cold and distant. He did not even look at me. Lily stood there with a pale face and spoke softly. "Dad, my dog accidentally knocked over the offerings. I was going to apologize to Susie, but as soon as she came downstairs, she attacked me. I did not even get the chance to explain. She smashed a vase at me." She lifted her bleeding arm, showing it to Dad with a pitiful look. Maybe Mom and I should move out. "You are just a dog," my father said to the pet without emotion. "You do not know any better." Then he turned to me, his eyes sharp. "But what about you? Do you not know better?" All of a sudden, he raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. I was so shocked that I could not even react. For a moment, he looked surprised too, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned away and left with Lily to take care of her wound. I stood frozen in place, watching them walk away. I could not even feel the pain until a few seconds later, when the burning sting on my cheek finally registered. I reached up and touched the swelling. As tears slid down my face, I laughed bitterly. I understood now. There was no place for me in this home anymore. In the middle of the night, I was woken suddenly by screaming and crying. I had just sat up in bed when my door was kicked open. My stepmother stormed in, crying, and before I could say a word, she slapped me hard. "How could you be so cruel?" she shouted. "It was not enough to hurt her during the day. Now you are trying to kill her too." She collapsed into my father's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. She knows Lily is allergic to peaches, and yet she poured peach juice all over her bed and pillows. "She is trying to kill our daughter. It is all right now. Do not cry," my father said gently, patting her back. "Lily took her medicine in time. It is nothing serious." But while he comforted her, he glanced at me with suppressed fury. "Susie," he said coldly, "you have really disappointed me. You need to move out tomorrow. Keeping you here will only bring more trouble to this family." My stepmother stopped crying almost immediately. I stared at the man standing in front of me. He used to be the person I trusted most in the world. I was his only daughter, his pride and joy, the one he always called his little miracle. But now, everything had changed. I felt like a character in a tragedy, the kind of story where the heroine loses everything. At first, I could not understand. I cried, I resisted. I tried to fight for my place. But now, I was finally awake. The bond between father and daughter, it was gone. The day I moved out of the Chen family home, my father said, "Once your mother's memorial is over, I will bring you back." I gave no reply. After they left, I quietly cut up and burned every photo I had with Julian King and my father. Then I took out the wedding dress I had bought 3 years ago, the one I had picked out in secret after Julian confessed his love for me. It was the dress I had dreamed of since I was a teenager, the one that made me feel like a princess. I destroyed it with my own hands. Next, I gathered all the gifts Julian had given me over the past 3 years. There were silly trinkets and expensive jewelry. I chose the valuable ones and asked my best friend to keep them. After I left the King family, she would return them to Julian for me. Only then would we truly owe each other nothing. As for the small, sentimental things, the ones that were meant to make me smile, I packed them all up to throw away. I used to treasure even a tiny keychain he gave me. But now, when I held it in my hand, I felt nothing at all. At last, I carefully wrapped my mother's photo and placed it gently into the side pocket of my suitcase. Without looking back, I stepped out of the house where I had lived for 10 years. Just as I reached the front gate, a familiar car pulled up. I did not even glance at it, but the car stopped beside me. The back window slowly rolled down, revealing Julian's handsome, refined face. My eyes brushed over him, but I did not stop walking. "Susie Chen," Julian called out. His voice sounded different, uncertain. "Where are you going?" I was dragging 2 large suitcases, and it was already hard to move. I had no energy to talk and no reason to stop. So I said nothing and kept going. Julian suddenly got out of the car. "Do you want me to have the driver take you?" "No, thank you," I replied, stepping past the hand he had reached out, but he would not let it go. He reached out and grabbed my wrist. "Susie Chen, why are you being so stubborn this time? If you cry a little like you used to, maybe I'll soften up again." I pulled my hand away and looked at him calmly. "Julian King, there is no need anymore, no need to cry, no need to hope that I will come back. I am tired, I am done." He gave a crooked smile and said, "Fine, do whatever you want," but I saw the disbelief in his eyes. He did not think I would actually leave. No matter how hurt I was in the past, I always waited for him to return. Quietly, willingly, he had gotten used to that. Everyone around him believed I would never walk away, and so did he. As I dragged my suitcase behind me, I heard Lily's soft, sugary voice behind me. "Julian, you're here," she called out, rushing over and holding onto his arm like she belonged there. She pressed her body close to his, her voice sweet and gentle. "Are your allergies getting better?" Julian brushed a strand of hair from her forehead and looked at her closely. "Much better." Lily smiled, her eyes curving like tiny crescent moons. "Julian, don't be mad at Susie," she said softly, giving his arm a light shake. "It's my fault, I was feeling unwell, so Dad asked Susie to switch rooms with me. She probably got upset and took it out on me." "How could it be your fault?" Julian said, his voice full of sympathy. "She is the one who is petty and difficult." He glanced at me briefly, then pulled Lily into his arms as if to make a point. "Come on, let's go inside. Your face is just starting to heal. Don't let the wind ruin it." "Okay," Lily replied sweetly. I watched them walk away, their bodies pressed close like shadows joined together. They looked inseparable, loving, like a couple lost in their own world. But inside me, everything was still. My heart did not move, not a ripple, not a tremble. After Mom's memorial, Dad never came to pick me up like he said he would. He disappeared from my life once again. Before I could even dwell on that, Julian's birthday came around. In past years, I would have spent weeks preparing. I would search for the perfect gift, reserve a table at his favorite restaurant, and carefully decorate the venue for his party. But this year, I bought him nothing. I did not plan to celebrate. I never would again. At 5 p.m., I was on my way to the airport when messages started coming in, one after another. Even Dad was texting. "Why aren't you here yet? Your Aunt Lily and I are already at the restaurant. Susie, you should be more understanding. Julian will be part of the family soon. If you don't show up, what will people think? They might think something is wrong between you and your sister." I found it all ridiculous. I did not reply to a single message. Instead, I blocked his number. Just as I was about to board the plane, a final message popped up. It was from Julian. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you." I smiled to myself, said nothing, and blocked him too. Then I walked into the boarding gate without looking back. At 7 p.m., the party had still not started. Julian sat on the couch, flipping a lighter in his hand. His face looked calm, but he kept checking the time. He glanced at his phone again and again. "Julian." Lily bit her lip and tugged gently at his sleeve. "It's getting late. Everyone is getting hungry." He looked at her and smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You're hungry?" he asked, teasingly pinching her cheek. "I am starving too." "Can't wait for the cake." Lily giggled and leaned into his arms. As she did, a faint but familiar scent reached Julian's nose. He paused. "What perfume are you wearing?" he asked quietly. "I just grabbed one from the vanity at home," she said uncertainly. "Why? Does it smell bad?" He shook his head slowly. "No, it smells nice. It just reminded me. It's the same one Susie used to wear." He could not remember the brand, but the scent brought her face back in a rush. As the guests laughed and started the usual cake fight, Julian stepped out onto the terrace with a cigarette. His phone was completely silent, not a single message. He remembered how Susie once promised she would never miss another one of his birthdays. But now, she had broken that promise without hesitation. Julian narrowed his eyes and let out a bitter smile. "Susie Chen," he muttered under his breath. "Are you dead or something? Can't even reply to a message." He hit send. But the message failed. A red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. She had blocked him. He quickly tried to call, but the line would not go through. Julian stood on the terrace, staring into the night. The wind was cold, and something burned in his chest. He was the one who had let her go. He was the one who said he wanted someone else. He was the one who said he did not want her clinging to him anymore. Now he had exactly what he asked for, but somehow, it was not as satisfying as he thought it would be. After I arrived in the new city, I did not contact Andrew right away. Instead, I met up with my best friend from college, Sierra. I wanted to tell her everything, but I still had not found the right words. I never expected to run into Andrew at the welcome dinner Sierra had arranged for me. He was standing at the entrance to one of the private rooms, dressed in a sleek black business suit. His matching coat rested casually over one arm. The soft light behind him cast gentle shadows on the mural behind him, creating a dreamy, almost surreal backdrop. But no matter how beautiful the surroundings were, they only seemed to enhance his presence. After all these years, Andrew looked even more composed and attractive than he had back in college, and now, he was no longer just a classmate from the past. He was my fiancé. My cheeks turned warm. I quickly lowered my eyes and nervously gripped the edge of the lace on my dress. I could even feel a small bead of sweat forming on my back. Sierra, on the other hand, lit up with excitement. "Andrew, what a surprise. What brings you here tonight?" "I had a business dinner nearby," he said with ease. I saw a few familiar faces and thought I would stop by. As he spoke, his eyes landed on me. He paused briefly, then added, "Hope the old classmates do not mind me crashing the party." "Of course not," someone called out. "Are you kidding? We would never turn you away." Everyone was thrilled to see him. They waved and welcomed him with cheerful voices. "You are always welcome here," another person said. Andrew smiled and stepped inside. "Then I will not be polite," he replied, walking over and taking the seat directly across from me. Classmates gathered around him, exchanging greetings and making small talk. I kept my head down the entire time, too flustered to meet his eyes, but it seemed Andrew was not going to let me hide for long. "Susie, it has been a while," he said with a warm smile. Hearing my name, I looked up without thinking. Our eyes met, and his were calm and steady, with a slight smile. My face grew hot again as I stared at him, heart thudding. It took me a few moments to compose myself. Then I stood up, raised my glass, and said, "It has been a long time, Andrew." "Yes, it has," he replied, still holding my gaze as our glasses touched gently. Only then did he take a sip. I took a small sip of the wine, which had a sharp, spicy taste, and quietly sat back down. Just then, Sierra leaned over and gave my sleeve a little tug, her eyes twinkling. "There is definitely something going on between you two, babe. What are you talking about?" I asked, pretending not to understand. "From the moment he walked in, he has not taken his eyes off you," she whispered. "You must be imagining things. Oh please, do not forget who I am. I am like a gossip radar. If there is even a spark of romantic tension, I can spot it right away." I bit my lip and tried to calm my heartbeat, but it was racing wildly. After college, I had returned to the capital with Julian, and I had not seen Andrew since. Apart from a few holiday messages on WeChat, we had no contact. It was not until Julian started openly dating Lily that Andrew suddenly reached out to me. Until now, we had only spoken briefly on the phone. This was our first time meeting in person since I agreed to marry him. We had not even held hands, but the way Sierra spoke, it was as if we were already a couple. Just then, one of the girls at the table giggled and asked, "Andrew, do you have a girlfriend?" "I have this gorgeous cousin. Want me to introduce you to?" The room filled with laughter and playful teasing. The energy was high and full of excitement. Not to be outdone, Sierra quickly joined in. "Andrew, if you are still single, what about our Susie? She is beautiful, sweet, and smart, graduated from a top university, just like you. Wouldn't they make the perfect match?" I was so embarrassed that I felt like my face would catch fire. I wished I could disappear under the table. But then, cutting through all the noise, Andrew's calm voice spoke. "That is enough. Sierra, do not tease Susie like that. She is a little shy. Please, let her be." Sierra made a playful face and teased, "Oh, look at that. The senior is being protective of his junior now." Andrew only smiled but said nothing more. I snuck a glance at him, and to my surprise, he was already looking at me again. My cheeks flushed once more, and I quickly looked away. Just then, my phone lit up with a message. "Andrew, wait for me after dinner. I will drive you." "Me, okay." I did not reply again, but my heart began racing uncontrollably. When the dinner ended, I waited for Andrew in the hotel lobby. The lights were soft and warm, making everything feel peaceful and quiet. Suddenly, I got a call from someone in the King family circle. Susie, where have you been lately? We have not seen you around. I have just been busy with some personal things. I replied politely. Do you want to hang out with us tonight? You all go ahead. Wait, do not hang up yet. Actually, this is about Julian. He is in a really bad mood tonight. He got drunk again and will not listen to anyone. If he keeps drinking like this, he might end up back in the hospital with another ulcer. You should call Lily, I said calmly. Julian just kicked Lily out. The voice sighed. We all know he still has feelings for you, Susie. He regrets what happened. Stop, I said, my tone firm and cold. Julian and I have broken up. His life is no longer any concern of mine. And I made it clear I didn't want him to call me again. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard a sudden noise. Like the phone being yanked away, I was about to hang up when Julian's voice came through. Susie, it wasn't my idea to call you. They did it on their own. I had nothing to do with it. Same old arrogance, same cold pride. Well, I'm hanging up, I said firmly. Susie, he called again. And this time his voice held a weight I hadn't heard in a long time. If this had been before, I might have felt sorry for him. I might have gently scolded him, told him not to drink so much. But now, none of it mattered. I ended the call. Afterwards, I went ahead and deleted all of Julian's close friends from my contacts. I had only known them because of him. Now that it was truly over, there was no reason to keep in touch with any of them. In the bright lobby, Andrew stood a little way ahead, bathed in warm light. His handsome face looked even softer and more dreamlike under the glow. Andrew, I called as I got up. He started walking toward me, but maybe because of the alcohol. His steps were unsteady. I hurried to support him. Are you okay? Did you drink too much? Do you feel sick? He nodded slightly. Just a bit of a headache, he said, his brow furrowed with pain. Susie, my car is outside. Can you help me get to it? Of course, I said, ready to walk him out. Andrew was much taller than me. And even though it was just a short distance, we stumbled all the way. When we reached the car, I lost my balance and fell into his arms. The faint scent of wine mixed with his familiar sandalwood cologne wrapped around me like a warm wave. Flustered, I tried to pull away, but Andrew held me gently. Susie, just let me hold you for a little while, he whispered. Okay, I said softly. Suddenly, he cupped my face with both hands, holding me close. I'm not dreaming, am I? You're Susie Chen, aren't you? Our breaths mingled in the small space between us. In his slightly drunk eyes, I saw confusion, disbelief, longing, and a sorrow I couldn't explain. It felt as if someone had reached inside my chest and squeezed my heart barehandedly. The bittersweet ache filled me. Andrew, you're not dreaming, it's me. I'm Susie Chen, I began, but before I could finish, his warm lips pressed softly against mine. The kiss was gentle, like a feather brushing my skin, filled with tenderness and care. I hadn't even had time to process what was happening when he pulled back. He must have noticed the nervousness and hesitation in my eyes because he took my hand and helped me sit properly in the seat. The car started moving, and Andrew pressed the button to raise the divider between us and the driver. The small, quiet space made me feel even more nervous. Then he let go of my hand. Don't be afraid, Susie, he said softly. I would never do anything to hurt you here. He reached out and brushed a stray lock of hair from my temple. I'll wait patiently until our wedding night. My head dropped, and my cheeks flushed bright red. After a moment, I looked up at him and whispered, okay. Meanwhile, Julian King was drunk again. No matter how much his friends tried to stop him, he refused to listen. He couldn't understand why he felt so low these past few days. Maybe it was because he realized he had grown bored of Lily, that she wasn't as special as he thought, or maybe it was that he started missing Susie's gentle, calm, and understanding presence. The last time his friends called Susie, it had been with his silent approval, but she kept refusing. Something inside him snapped. He grabbed the phone and yelled those harsh words in anger. She didn't say a word, she simply hung up. She didn't come to see him, she didn't try to bring him home, even knowing he had drunk too much and might not handle it well. She stayed cold and distant. Julian didn't want to admit it, but in that moment, he panicked a little. Still, he quickly tried to convince himself. Susie had loved him for so long. They had been together for 3 years, not just a few days or months. He knew how much she had invested in their relationship. She must be heartbroken, she must still resent him. That's why she was acting this way, but to say she was truly letting go, That she didn't care anymore, that was something he refused to believe. Julian could not believe what he was hearing. One of his friends snatched the bottle from his hand and scolded him. "Are you trying to drink yourself to death? Do you have any idea how worried we have all been?" He waved the bottle around, unsteady on his feet. "We just called Lily. She is on her way to take you home. Come on, man." Enough with the drinking. At the sound of Lily's name, Julian's expression changed instantly. A wave of disgust washed over him. He shoved his friend aside and slammed the bottle to the floor, where it shattered into pieces. "Who told you to call her? Did I ask for that? She is your girlfriend. Who else were we supposed to call?" "She is not my girlfriend," Julian snapped, his voice full of contempt. "You all really don't know who my girlfriend is." His friends exchanged confused looks. "Julian, have you forgotten? You and Susie already broke up. You even told us in the group chat to start calling Lily your fiancée. Before Susie left the group, she even sent her congratulations. Aren't you and Lily about to get engaged?" Someone asked. "We are not getting engaged," Julian replied flatly, then motioned for someone to open another bottle. "Julian, you need to stop this," one of them said firmly. "You cannot keep drinking like this." Julian looked up, eyes unfocused. "And you think I am going to listen to you now? No, you never listened to us. The only person you ever really listened to was Susie. If she were here right now, you would have gone home with her without saying a word. You wouldn't be drinking yourself into a hospital bed." Julian stayed quiet. He did not deny it. Another friend sighed and pulled out his phone. "Fine, I'm calling Susie. If even she can't talk sense into you, then there's nothing more we can do." But to everyone's surprise, the call did not go through. Each person in the room tried their own phone, but it was the same. Susie had blocked them all, not just Julian, every one of them. The air in the room grew cold. Julian sat back on the couch, his gaze dark and heavy. Maybe she's just too angry," he murmured. "Can you blame her?" Someone said, "You were the one who ended it so harshly. Then you started dating the girl who's technically her stepsister. Anyone would feel hurt, betrayed, even." "She's been living alone lately," another added. "My cousin saw her at the cemetery on her mother's Memorial Day. Her eyes were swollen. She had clearly been crying." "Julian, maybe you should go talk to her. Just go to her place." Julian suddenly remembered the day Susie left the Chen house. She had walked away without turning back, dragging 2 large suitcases behind her. That house had been her home, her family's, but somehow it had become Lily and her mother's territory, even their father. The man she once called Dad had turned his back on her so easily. He had been drawn in by Lily's youth and sweetness. He had left Susie behind without a second thought. What Julian could not forget was that final look Susie gave him. Her face was calm, emotionless. Her eyes held no trace of sorrow, no spark of anger. It was as if she were looking at a stranger, someone who had never mattered at all. He stood up abruptly, ready to leave. Just as the door opened, Lily stepped in. Her voice was soft, her presence delicate. "Julian," she said, her eyes wide and glassy with tears. "As always, why are you drinking so much again? You are going to be complaining about a headache tomorrow." She walked up to him and gently slipped her arm through his. Julian was just about to pull away when something stopped him. A scent drifted up, faint but familiar. His heart skipped a beat. He sniffed lightly. "What's that smell?" he asked, his voice suddenly low and uncertain. Lily blushed. Clearly pleased. "The same perfume as last time," she replied sweetly. She nodded. "Yes, it's still the same one." Her face lit up, but deep inside, a shadow crept in. The truth was, she had taken that perfume from Susie's vanity. At first, she had wanted to throw away all of Susie's expensive bottles, especially the unopened ones. But Julian only liked that scent. She had tried others, but he always pulled away, always looked displeased, so in the end, she kept it. Using it even though the smell reminded her of someone else. "If you like it," she said in a soft voice, "I will wear it every day." She tilted her head up, her beautiful eyes filled with longing. But Julian's expression changed in an instant. He suddenly shoved her away. "Julian," Lily gasped, stunned. The room went silent, all eyes turned toward him, shocked. Julian looked at her with an eerie calm. His voice was steady, but everyone could feel the fury beneath the surface. "What's wrong, Julian?" Lily asked again, trying to grab his arm. This time, Julian raised his hand and slapped her across the face. "You hit me." Lily clutched her cheek, her eyes filling with tears from both pain and humiliation. Julian's gaze was ice cold. Lily, aren't you allergic to peaches? Didn't you cry to me, saying Susie had someone smear peach juice on your bed to harm you? I am allergic, Lily said quickly. Dad knows too. He even found out that Susie told the maid. Julian suddenly stepped forward and grabbed her by the collar. He towered over her, his grip so tight she could barely breathe. Let go, Lily gasped. I can't breathe. Julian stared at her, his handsome face twisted with rage. Lily, he said slowly. Did you forget you are wearing Susie's favorite perfume, the one she always wore? I had bought that perfume for her again and again, the same one she wore every single day. At first, I did not recognize it. I had forgotten so much. Julian let out a bitter laugh, full of self-mockery. He had forgotten too. He forgot how deeply Susie had loved him, how loyal she had been through all those years. He forgot the 3 years they spent together, filled with quiet devotion. He forgot the dreams they once shared of growing old side by side. He forgot how, during their breakup, I had sat in silence across from him, tears falling without a sound, accepting the end with quiet dignity. He forgot the girl he once claimed to love more than anything. He forgot how kind I had been, how gentle. He forgot that I had once held him in my heart like he was everything. And then, when it suited him, he threw me away without a second thought. He had forgotten too much, and now, the consequences of that were finally coming back to him. He picked up the bottle of perfume and said quietly, the middle notes are white peach and gardenia. You said you were allergic to peaches. Then how come you never had a reaction, even though you wore this perfume every day? Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. Her face turned ghostly pale, like the color had been drained from her body. She trembled all over. It had all been a lie. From the very beginning, she had manipulated him. Lied to me, and even fooled Mr. Chen. Lily, Julian said, his voice icy. I must have been blind to fall for someone so cunning. He let go of her roughly, pushing her away. She stumbled back and collapsed to the ground, too stunned to speak. Her lips moved, trying to form an excuse, but no sound came out. The perfume was real, the truth undeniable. I am going to tell everyone who you really are, Julian said, glaring down at her one last time before turning away and slamming the door behind him. His driver sped towards Susie's old apartment. When they arrived, the building was dark, her windows were closed, and no light shone from inside. Maybe she had already gone to sleep, but Julian was desperate. He needed to see her, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. He rang the doorbell again and again. He knocked until his knuckles hurt. Susie never answered. Eventually, a neighbor, annoyed by the noise, called building management. That was when Julian found out she had moved out long ago. She had even arranged to have the unit sold. Where had she gone? Was she still in the city? Would she ever come back? He had no answers. Only one terrifying thought kept circling in his mind, growing louder, more painful. He had lost Susie. Maybe this time, he had lost her for good. The lies Lily and her mother had told to frame Susie slowly came to light. Even the housekeepers at the Chen estate spoke up, defending Susie and telling the truth. The day Lily and her mother were thrown out of the Chen family home, they were completely disgraced, humiliated, dirty, like drowned rats. Julian stood in the garden among wilted begonia flowers, his eyes turned red with emotion. Begonias might bloom again after withering, but some people, once they leave, they never return. In the days that followed, Mr. Chen tried many times to contact Susie, but every time she heard his voice on the other end of the line, she quietly hung up. No explanation, no words. When she left the city, she not only took her mother's belongings, she also took every part of the inheritance that was rightfully hers. The Chen family home was now just an empty shell, and they all knew in their hearts, she was never coming back, not far away. Loud arguments broke out, screaming, swearing, crying. The masks had finally come off. With their dream of luxury shattered, Lily and her mother showed their true colors, sharp-tongued, vicious, desperate. Open your suitcases, we are checking everything, came a cold voice from the steps. It was Mr. Chen. He looked tired and aged, like a man who had lived through years of regret in a single night. Julian stood beside him, head lowered in shame. In that moment, he realized just how foolish he had been, how completely blind. It was unbelievable that they had once driven away someone as good and kind as Susie for women like that. This was justice, harsh, but deserved. Lily and her mother refused to open their suitcases. They screamed, kicked, and cried, but it was useless. Every single case was opened. Underneath the neatly packed clothes were piles of designer bags, fine jewelry, and expensive accessories. "Do not let them take anything else, Mr. Chen ordered. His face filled with rage. Lily and her mother lunged forward, trying to snatch the items back, but the guards pushed them aside. Not only were the things in their suitcases confiscated, even the jewelry they wore was stripped from them. Lily fought wildly. In the struggle, one of her earrings was ripped out, tearing her earlobe. Blood trickled from her neck down to her chest. The sight was horrifying, but the man who once called her daughter did not even blink. He waved his hand, as if swatting away something filthy, and gave the final order, "Throw them out," and so, dragged by the guards, screaming and crying. Lily and her mother were cast out through the front gates. Just like that, Lily still would not give up. She clung to the iron gatepost, screaming hoarsely, her voice nearly gone. "Julian, you cannot do this to me. I am pregnant. The baby is yours. You have to take responsibility." By the end, she looked completely out of control, like someone possessed, her cries echoing through the quiet estate. Mr. Chen turned to look at Julian, but Julian felt nothing. No pity, no guilt, only disgust. He almost wanted to laugh, but he could not even manage a smile. How had he ever fallen for someone so shameless? Julian stepped forward and stood beside Mr. Chen, whose once black hair was now streaked with grey. "I never touched her," Julian said. "I swear, I never laid a hand on her." Mr. Chen let out a long, weary breath. That is good, that is good." He waved his hand, and the bodyguards came forward, dragging Lily away. Her screams slowly faded into silence. The sun dipped low, casting a soft golden light over the wide garden. Julian and Mr. Chen stood there, both gazing at the bed of crabapple blossoms that had wilted with the season. The trees were bare now, their branches still. No one knew when they would bloom again. These had been Susie's mother's favorite flowers, after her passing. Susie had cared for them lovingly, but now, Susie was gone too, and the delicate flowers, almost as if they could feel it, had withered as spring arrived. Mr. Chen wiped at the tears on his face. "I failed Susie, and I failed her mother. I failed them both." His voice trembled. "Julian, I lost my mind. I made her mother a promise, to take care of Susie, to love her like my own daughter, but I broke that promise. Do you think I will be punished for that? How much pain she must have carried. How wrong she must have felt." He looked up at Julian again. "The photo of Susie's mother has been restored. I plan to renovate the entire house. Do you think Susie will ever come home?" Julian stayed quiet. Maybe, deep down, he knew the answer, but he did not want to admit it. The light around them dimmed. Julian swallowed his sorrow. "Mr. Chen, Susie has always had a soft heart." He could not finish the sentence. There was no need. They both knew what kind of person Susie was. And they both knew how cruelly they had treated her. Under some strange spell, they had turned cold. And now, it was too late. My wedding to Andrew took place the following spring. Just like we had promised when we were young, my best friend Sierra stood at my side as my only bridesmaid. I did not send invitations to anyone from Capital City, not a single relative, not one old friend. But somehow, the news still spread. On the day of the wedding, my father and Julian showed up. Andrew came to ask how I wanted to handle it. The makeup artist was still brushing powder across my cheeks. I looked up and saw myself in the mirror, me, beside the man who would soon become my husband. The bridal makeup was heavier than what I normally wore. I looked different, almost like a stranger. But in that moment, I reminded myself of the crabapple blossoms Andrew had planted for me at our new home. Shy, radiant, and quietly beautiful, standing beside me in his tailored black tuxedo. Andrew looked incredibly handsome. We shared a glance. In that brief second, there was a smile in both our eyes. "I do not want to see them," I said quietly. Andrew nodded without hesitation. "Okay, I will have someone ask them to leave." Good. Even now, I had no desire to see them again. Some scars fade slowly over time, but others never fully heal. Some ties are too fragile to keep, and I no longer wanted to hold on. Once everything was ready, I walked onto the stage in my white gown. Holding my bouquet, Andrew did not wait for me to reach him. He stepped forward, reaching out his hand. I reached out, too. In the sound of laughter and blessings, our hands finally met and held tight. Andrew leaned down and kissed me, forgetting the crowd completely. It was a long kiss, So tender it felt like I might forget how to breathe. Only when the wedding ring slid onto my finger did he lean close and whisper into my ear, "Susie, I love you. I have loved you for a long, long time. And I will love you for a long, long time more." I looked up at him, eyes shimmering with tears. "Andrew, I will try my best to love you too, to love you well." He pulled me into his arms, full of warmth and care. Okay, that day, the wedding was not just beautiful, it was romantic, filled with meaning. Julian and Mr. Chen never entered the ceremony, but neither of them left. Mr. Chen collapsed midway through. He suffered a sudden heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. He survived but fell into a coma. Julian stayed until the end. For some reason, Sierra had never blocked him. Because of that, Julian saw almost every photo and video from the wedding through her social media. He had known before the wedding that my groom was Andrew, my college senior, a man he once praised long ago when we were still together. He had gotten jealous each time Andrew's name came up. Eventually, I stopped mentioning him. I even kept my distance from Andrew. Yet, in the end, I married him. Julian saw everything in the photos, in every clip. He saw how deeply Andrew loved me, the way he looked at me. So focused, so full of devotion. Julian recognized that look. He had once looked at me the same way, until he convinced himself he was tired of me, until a younger girl caught his attention, until he lost me, and by the time he realized what he had thrown away, it was too late. Andrew had taken me away. Julian heard that at our new home. We had planted an entire garden of crabapple blossoms. It was spring now, and they must be blooming beautifully, just like I had on our wedding day. On the drive back to Capital City, Julian crossed a highway bridge late at night. The road was empty. He pressed down on the gas, pushing the car faster. Then, without warning, he turned the wheel sharply and closed his eyes. The vehicle slammed into the railing. After the crash, everything went still. The crabapple trees would bloom again. But they would bloom in someone else's garden. If there was another life, Julian wished he could return to the time when he first met me, just after my mother passed. This time, he would love me the right way. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.